We've been to every type of event there has been in B2B marketing. This is an episode for anyone in social media, anyone in B2B marketing, anyone in content, anyone that wants to learn about how to better capture content at the events. The potential of using content at your event is a true unlock.
You look at the attendees, that's where the opportunities are, right? You have your prospects there, you have your partners there, you may have your existing clients there, and then you also have your team there full of subject matter experts. People in B2B always talk about, oh, we want to do content, we want to start doing video. We don't know what to say, we don't know who to put in our video. It's like, well,
everyone you want is at the conference already.
So in B2B, there's different types of events, and the optimal content capture strategy will differ based on which type of event that you're trying to get content at. First, we're going to go and break down the different types of events with some examples of each, and then we'll also break down the different types of content that you can capture at an event, and we'll kind of weave those back together.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the EventShark Podcast. I am Jake Clare, and with my co-founder Ding Zheng in the house. Episode 14 of the podcast. We made it this far. Do you think we're going to make it to episode 14?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
You know, most podcasts don't make it to 21, I think is the number. There's certain like metric where like 90% of podcasts don't make it.
Right before we started recording, we were just outside talking about how a lot of podcasts churn, and it's not because the service isn't good, but it's just hard to sustain a podcast that long. Why do you think that is, Jake?
I think people don't realize how much work it is to do a podcast. There's capital there's time capital, getting a studio set up or doing the studio. A lot of times people realize they don't want to actually be a podcaster or don't like talking that much. And maybe they're talking about something that's interesting or something they're not passionate about. The reason it's worked so well is because we have this awesome studio that's right by your apartment. We love talking about marketing and B2B marketing and video and content. We love talking about that. So we talk about that all day. We already talk about that all day. And it's a great excuse to talk to people, talk to cool people in the LinkedIn B2B content world.
Yeah, I think for B2B, there's an additional nuance to it, right? Is most podcast budget comes from marketing budgets. And as we all know, marketing budgets are most dangerous area of spend in a business, right? You constantly have to justify and re-justify where you're spending money on marketing and content. And as we know with video creation or being a content creator in general, there's a longer lead time to when you invest in an initiative until when you see ROI from it. You can hire an SDR off the street, you know, and within a week or two, they could be booking meetings for you. Right? And that's the expectation a lot of revenue or go-to-market folks have is like, we need speed to impact, but a podcast or a lot of video creation is a longer game. And it's more of a brand a growth lever than anything else.
I mean, have we even seen ROI on this podcast?
Yes, we have. And the thing is, though,
hard to... But we know we have, but it's hard to put that on paper.
Yeah, it's on a P&L sheet. Have we seen direct attribution? Perhaps not. But from a brand standpoint, from a strengthening our friendships, relationships, partnerships with folks in the space, spending time with some of our clients we've had on podcasts, other great creators in the space, and even from a learning standpoint, right? I go back and think about our conversations with Scott and Adam, who are... You know, they're a couple of steps ahead of us in the business game. We got so much great quality time with them. Other guys are paying thousands of dollars, you know, tens of thousands of dollars to get consulting with them.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have a perfect segue into this. And the reason is that is worked so far with the EventShark Podcast is we've been very intentional. And that's one thing we want to talk about is being intentional with your B2B events. And the company name is actually called EventShark. Events is in the name. And how many events have we been to since we started the business in the last 2 years?
Oh man, I haven't done a running count, but we're averaging like 5+ per month right now.
5+ a month times 12, whatever the timeline is. We've been to every type of event there has been in B2B marketing. Yep. And what we want to do on this episode, this is an episode for anyone in social media, anyone in B2B marketing, anyone in content, anyone that wants to learn about how to better capture content at the events. This is the podcast for you. So we got a full full outline breakdown. Ding went ham working on this, but it's all our learnings in the last 2 years of shooting content and generating great ROI on your event.
Yeah, Jake, before we dive too deep into the specifics,
Yes, sir.
I want to take a second and talk about why we're so passionate about this topic.
I think you're going to talk about why we're drinking our sparkling water.
We have our sparkling water. This is it's a bit of a tradition for our podcast at this point. So cheers, sir.
You knew I didn't like the Gerolsteiner.
I know you didn't like the Gerolsteiner. You didn't like the Vichy Catalan. So I got him some Icelandic. It was between the Icelandic and the Saratoga.
Since we started doing this, my sparkling water bill has been skyrocketing.
Yeah. Well, you've also expanded your palate, so that's a worthwhile investment. Gerolsteiner, I love how salty it is, but a lot of people, they don't like how minerally it tastes. But I love it.
There it is. So Ding, now we had our water.
Yeah.
Tell us about the declining ROI of traditional events.
The reason that content capture at B2B events is so important is that the traditional efficacy of ROI from in-person events has changed. And a really big signifier of this is you look at the decline of large-scale trade show and large-scale conferences, multiple exhibitors, a lot of sponsors, right? And it's badge scan central.
Bad scan central.
Right. So there's a stigma now with these large scale events, right? Okay, we're going to go there. We're going to pay 6 figures plus to sponsor a booth. We'll fly out our team, get the SDRs and AEs out there and try and generate event pipeline. That works great in the past. Now every company's, the cat's out of the bag. If everyone runs a strategy, inherently a strategy is going to become less effective.
But here's the thing though. We're not saying you can't get ROI. You can still get ROI at events doing this. I know I've talked to multiple companies in the last few months that say they still crush it with event generating business at events. They're still crushing it, whether it's a small conference, a large conference, a user conference, whatever type of event it is. People are still crushing it. I think what we're just saying is the potential of using content at your event is a true unlock. And you know this better than anyone because you're the sales rapper getting flown to conferences to perform, be a creator at these events. Before the creator economy was even a thing in LinkedIn, you were like the very forefront of this. So you saw no one was shooting at content at events. And you're like, holy moly, this is such an underserved opportunity. And that what gives us the context of wanting to start EventShark. For anyone that doesn't know, Ding was going to all these events, saw the poor content activations at these events, and was like, damn, this is an opportunity. Hence why we got into EventShark.
So I got my start as a marketing activation. The sales rapper was a performer, entertainer, and we would do it at the booth level, and then we'd also did something called outbound activations, right? Where would I actually partner up with an AE or an SDR, and instead of saying, hey, booth company, what do you guys do? Oh, can I pitch you our services? It's we hired a freestyle rapper for the conference, and we want to make a improvised live rap about your company. That was early content capture at events, right? We would take those clips, and then we'd share them with whatever exhibitor we were rapping with. And that's a value add, kind of an ABM style touch point. They're getting content out of it. My client's getting content out of it. But one thing I noticed is I'd be attending these events, being hired as a performer, and I'd have my camera, or I'd have a buddy holding a camera for me, and I'd look around the whole conference. Every exhibitor that has a sponsor booth spending multiple 6 figures to get their team out there. No one else is documenting. And that is the biggest missed opportunity for content at events, is you look at the attendees. That's where the opportunities are, right? You have your prospects there. You have your partners there. You may have your existing clients there. And then you also have your team there full of subject matter experts that people in B2B always talk about. Oh, we want to do content. We want to start doing video. We don't know what to say. We don't know who to put in our video. It's like, well,
everyone you want is at the conference already.
Right?
Instead of, hey, let's do a podcast, but we'll jump on a Zoom a week later. It's like, we were just all in person.
Yeah. Specifically, we'll dive more later. But the thing with testimonials is a big one. People will try and schedule folks. Oh, hey, we'll hire a camera crew. We'll come to your office, or you guys come to our office, and we'll have cameras there and do a testimonial and do the whole run around. It's a bunch of extra lift versus
It
the
feels
customers
like
are already there, right? Or let's say you have a user conference educating some of your users on new product roadmap, some how-tos to get more out of the product. If you have some great use cases, some success stories there, why not capture some testimonials? We've ran that play with a couple of our clients, and they've gotten so much more out of that than the additional lift of making that a separate motion, right? And it's more budget friendly as well. You're already investing that much to have a presence or to create your own event. Why not spend just a fraction more, and now you have content for the next 6 months?
It's a really quick ask at these conferences. Yeah. Hey, customer, we are shooting a few videos. Would you want to be on it and potentially do a testimonial for us? It'll take a few minutes. And then you get something way more candid. It's not scripted. It doesn't feel like, not to say that I think there's a time and place for doing the produced testimonial. 100% agree on that. But when you're at an event and your customers are already there, you can batch these testimonials and they just feel so organic and so social first. They feel real. There's so much types of content you can shoot at these events. You've kind of talked about it. We can have an ABM focused approach where we're going out to prospects. We have the list. We know our top 10 accounts are there. Let's go up to them and let's go and try and film some content with them, but be strategic and put them on, not necessarily a pedestal, but make them feel good and ask them questions that are associated with the problem that you're solving, and making them feel like the experts.
Yeah, I want to call one thing out too, is the concept of using event content capture as an experiential marketing activation. Mm-hmm. Is that we're now in this meta in B2B where people know that traditional outbound strategies are declining in efficacy. Not dead, but declining, right?
Declining in efficacy.
So a lot of folks now see the importance of, oh shit, we need content, we need to have brand, we need personal brands, et cetera, right? And those are often the people that are in buying positions, that are stakeholders on deals. The executives out there are like, hey, yeah, it's important that I have a personal or professional brand, and we're putting out content as a company and also as individuals. The gap there is that most of those people are not creators themselves, right? There's a big barrier to entry. There's a big gap between what they would want to have versus their ability to execute on that. So as a company, if you are able to provide that experience where, you get their cameras, lighting, audio, scripting, et cetera, and you're creating content, that's a big value add for someone that's coming to your event. That's something that's memorable for them, right? It's almost like a red carpet experience. Oh, shoot, I'm, there's this interview set up here for me. They feel special, like a VIP guest, right? And that's, the old saying, people don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel. And we've gotten a lot of feedback when we partner with clients and just having us aside one-on-one conversations with the guests that our clients are bringing in. They're like, yo, this is cool. I've never done this before.
We've done a lot of shoots with the team members and building up that team rapport. And we've actually done this not even at events, but you could treat a shoot day at your office as an event.
So in B2B, there's different types of events, and the optimal content capture strategy will differ based on which type of event that you're trying to get content at. Not every format is ideal for every type of content that you capture. So first, we're going to go and break down the different types of events with some examples of each. And then we'll also break down the different types of content that you can capture at an event. And we'll kind of weave those back together.
I'll give us the first one.
Yeah.
There's the massive conference that you've all heard of, Dreamforce, HubSpot's Inbound, all those huge conferences where there's thousands and thousands of people. And that's where there's likely going to be a lot of your target accounts there, or your prospects or your customers or your partners. That's a really good opportunity to capture street interviews, go around, be really methodical and preemptive about who you're going to be talking to at these events, because there's so much being lost in the sauce, and so you can get caught up in so many things at these events. Those are the types of events that you want to be really strategic about going into, and you're going to be talking to the right people. That's the edge, is that you can use content to kind of get outputs out of an event beyond just leads.
Yes.
And the potential for just batching content is insane at events. What's like a soft amount of content that you could get? And what's the high range if you're really, really prescriptive about it?
I mean, low-hanging fruit at a conference. Let's say you set up a multicam interview style setup. We've done this numerous times, right? You could batch
a full season.
Yeah, full season of a show.
50. We've done 49 pieces of content at one conference.
Yeah. Because if you listen, even if you schedule 3, 4, 5 sit-down interviews, right, 30 minutes each, 30 minutes to an hour, you're getting 5 clips out of each of those episodes, right? And if you're currently looking at a empty content calendar, right, there's both a volume game, but there's also the relationship side, right? It's a lot easier to say, hey, let's sit down and have an interview conversation. We're going to make some free content for you and add a free value add service than say, can we meet and do a demo, or can we meet and have a discovery call at the conference, right? The guards are down as well. It's a different type of interaction and relationship building than something that's positioned as more transactional, more salesy. And the nuance here is the large scale conference. It's the biggest blank canvas, right? Because you have the most amount of attendees, so you can get a good smattering of your customers, prospects, thought leaders, and influencers in your space, right? Partnerships, and then as well as your internal team, you're often bringing more people on site compared to a smaller regional conference.
Those are fun, and me and Ding are even planning to do some really creative things later this year at some conferences. I won't spoil it, but I'm really excited for it. Some things, and that's the potential with these events, is that you need to stand out a little bit. You need to do something a little bit differently. And that's why content is just a perfect way to do that. They're not checking cameras, at least at this point. Like, you can just bring your camera in, and it's good.
I would argue they would, most event organizers, if they're smart, they're gonna give out press passes. They would rather have more cameras there than not, because it's free marketing for their event. Hey, we're at this conference shooting content. Great. Shoot more, distribute more of that, because it benefits the event organizers.
That's totally a fair call out right there. So that's, if you can sponsor the conference, or you can just attend it.
Yeah,
we love attending events, bringing a camera, doing tons of street interviews, capturing content, linking up with people in person.
Now we've covered both formats of big scale events. So let's switch gears a little bit. So number 3, you have the own or the co-own smaller event, and the difference here is, one, you have less attendees, right? And it's more relevant. Usually at a larger conference or trade show, you have a lot of attendees that might not be a market for what you sell, right? Might not be a good fit, not within your ICP. For an own co-own small event, you have a much tighter control of attendees. So everything's going to be more focused.
And I really like this as well for content, because you have all the right. It's not like just going up to a random conference. You might, if you're doing random street interviews, you might get someone that's completely wrong industry. Specific industries where the conversation is about one thing, there's so much more potential in it. You also have access to, like we did this at RevOps AF, which is revenue operations conference, very, very niche, but all the right buyers were there. We were able to get content with all the speakers there. The company that we were working with was sponsoring the event, but also got permission, because it's a smaller event. They made sure they got permission at this conference. And the conference was like, hell yeah, like, you're going to capture a bunch of content, and we end up getting like 20 really good street interviews on this event with like all the right ICP people there.
A lot of these smaller co-owned events, one thing that's really good, we touched on this earlier, is that especially if it's a user conference.
User conferences are
in my humble opinion, I think that is the most impactful type of event you can create content at.
100%. User conferences I think they're really going to blow up in the next few years. We've been seeing that, but user conference basically is a conference that you're hosting just for all your customers. So you bring them out, you're learning about the product, new stuff coming out. People, you can really just connect with the customers.
So typically we see it in 2 formats. So one format is more of an ecosystem play. So let's say we're targeting finance professionals, right? Then you'll invite, depending on what city you are. Okay, here's all the finance professionals in this region. We're going to invite them, and you're bringing in keynote speakers, thought leaders, influencers in this space to give that type of role or that type of customer segment value add information. Not all of it's going to be necessarily related to your product, right? But it's, let's help this profession do their jobs better. And the other type is very product focused. Here's some updates we have on the roadmap. Here's some new functionality that maybe your onboarding specialist hasn't shown you yet. We're going to have big room showcases.
It's dope too, because as a user of the product, you're like, I don't get invited to many conferences. Like, I want to go hang out in person.
It's a VIP experience, right? Catered food, drinks, etc.
Yeah, I think, and it's a great way for, this is more like an event marketing thing, but great way to just make your customers feel special.
Yes.
What better way not to make them feel special than to film some content of them?
Yeah. Highlight them, celebrate them. And the other piece, so going back to the first segment, is oftentimes these smaller conferences, you'll be bringing in guests and speakers, right? And those are folks that often have an audience and a following, as well as a strong point of view. Well, guess what is great? Creative collaborators, when you're trying to make video content, is folks from that cloth as well. And you're also adding value to them as well.
Yeah, so it's also, with the content, it's the distribution play. We haven't really talked about distribution, but if you're able to make really good content or clean content of that person looking great with also mentioning your company or collaborating with your company, it's free marketing right there.
Yep.
And as you said, it's a value for them. It's not like, hey, like, can you post this? It's like, oh no, we made this.
You're
awesome
making
video
stuff they
for you.
want to post.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. The one point there I want to call out in terms of types of content to shoot at the own events.
We should definitely talk about that.
Especially if it's a user conference, get the damn testimonials, y'all.
Yeah,
we all know how important testimonial content is.
You can't have enough testimonials.
Yeah.
If I'm hosting this user conference, how should I be asking for testimonials?
You want to be really strategic with outreach and scheduling, right? You don't want to wait until the last minute. They're already on site. They're putting out fires in their business, right?
They got to get out early.
Yeah, they got dinner with their college buddy. Okay, well, if you set the expectation beforehand, you do some thoughtful outreach beforehand, they're that much more likely to be sticky. And that's what we tell every client when they have plans to capture testimonials or plans to capture talking head interviews at conferences. Do that. Do the work. Do the outreach beforehand. Do the scripting and make an outline.
Prompting. Create questions. Give them questions ahead of time.
Yeah. Get an outline. Really deep dive into their use case. Right. You don't want to put the onus of having a great talk track on whoever you're filming, because that's work that you could be doing. Right. So when we'll go in and do our own testimonials, we'll have an outline. Right. We'll go and review the use case, how they saw success from our service. Right. And you can apply those same principles when you're doing user testimonial.
Yeah. So you reach out ahead of time. You just got to reach out ahead of time so they know what's coming, and then they'll feel special and they'll feel excited going in.
Yeah.
Or if they get the butterflies and they don't want to be on camera, that's okay.
Yeah.
You can find someone else.
Yeah. And also, this is a small thing. I've noticed a few companies do this, and it always goes well. Just be thoughtful, right? Maybe prepare a gift bag, a swag bag or something to give to them after they do the interview. Just make them feel, special. The last event type is a periphery or a side event at a larger scale conference. And this is something that we've seen a lot of.
You love these type of events.
I love these types of events, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why these events are good. With every type of event, you want to think about the attendees in terms of their intent at the event. How sticky they are, how bought in they are, how relevant essence of that event is to them, right? If they're attending a larger scale conference, maybe 50 to 80% of what's going around on the trade show floor is not relevant to them. 80% of the people in that room aren't relevant to them. When you create a periphery side event, there's a self-selection going on. All the people that are going to attend your happy hour party after the event probably has a little bit more to do with your business ecosystem than the larger funnel at the event.
So I don't want to sponsor a booth at Dreamforce, but I'll rent the bar across the street.
Exactly.
And then you invite all your customers there.
Yeah.
And they're already there going to Dreamforce, but now they have something to go to after.
Yeah.
And it's great because you can get people in the door, and people are going to be busy in and out of different events, but
and that's
come get a free drink.
Yeah. Shout out to Base Bash.
What's that?
Demand Base's periphery events. They always do such a great
Base
job.
Bash? That's what they call it. Yeah.
Yeah. I love Base Bash. So the periphery side events, the other benefit there is that's the one difference between, say, a owned event or a co-owned event and a periphery event versus a larger scale conference is you have more control of the physical space, right? You could set up, here's this corner that we section off to do
street interviews.
Yeah, street interviews. Here's this other corner. We've set up chairs and lights and cameras, and we could do a sit-down interview. It's easier to do that than to do that in the middle of the trade show floor, right?
Yeah. Low key. If you have a good venue and you scout out ahead of time, it's like, hey, can we just reserve one room to do this type of stuff?
Let's move on to the
content formats.
Yeah, different content formats. So we talk a lot about shooting content at events. Content's a pretty wide net. What do we mean specifically when we say event content, Jake? Let's break that down.
There's a lot of different types of content, obviously. I think the bread and butter of EventShark is not that we do all types of content, but I think we really got our feet wet with shooting content events with street interviews.
Yep.
As one of the first things that we were doing because it's the easiest thing to do. You show up to anyone, ask them some questions, and it's quick. It's easy.
Yeah.
And you can batch a bunch of them at a conference.
Yeah. And I want to add a quick note. When we say content at events, we're primarily talking about video content. So with video content, there's a really easy breakdown, right? You have short form content, you have long form content, and that's to do with the format of the content itself. Short form, typically punchier, shorter pieces of content, and they're generally delivered in a vertical video format. Long form content, they're typically more in-depth, lengthier videos delivered in a landscape format. So now we'll break down the optimal short form content and long form content for events.
Yeah, something that we underrated do is that come into an event where we're helping prompt and create good questions. I think that's really important, is creating questions that are open-ended and then make the viewer feel good. Yeah. And make them feel smart, not make them feel stupid. And so asking them the right questions is really important. Open-ended questions, maybe some fun questions in there to even warm them up because people can be kind of stiff at times. So you can kind of ask them something to make them feel comfortable on camera and then get into it.
Yeah, I think it'd be fair to say that event content capture starts long before the day of the event, right? Is you really want to go into, because here's the reality of an event. You have a limited time window and you want to max out your potential at the area of opportunity. So the more work you can do with scripting questions beforehand, doing outreach, getting buy-in from people that you want to be on camera with you, the more success you're going to have.
What's the term where you finish something into the time frame that you're given?
Yes, precisely, Jake. It's called Parkinson's Law, and it dictates...
How do you know that on top of your head?
Man, we just ChatGPT downloaded into the brain. I got DeepSeek in here, niche AI joke.
And that's why the reason I'm saying is like you could do a whole season over a couple quarters. You get people on Zoom podcasts, taking forever. At an event, we only got this much time, so you're forced to shoot that much content.
Right. Yeah, it's a forcing function for efficiency. The short form, right? The nuance with short form is that these are typically lower barrier to entry. It's easier to make, and the expectation for the quality doesn't need to be as polished.
You can shoot on your phone if you really want to. We bring nice cameras, but if you want to just get started, shoot on your phone with a tiny mic.
Yep,
and that's a great even start barrier to entry.
Yeah. And there's the other concept too that you want to think about: what is the effort level required to make that content, right? And with long form interviews, we know that because we make videos for a living. You need multiple cameras. You need a time block, a longer period of time.
You don't need multiple cameras, but we just do it so it looks nice.
I would argue you would want to have multiple.
You want multiple cameras.
Beyond just the logistics of the gear, there's also, if you have a street interview with someone, you're on camera with them for what, maybe 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes max. And you have a sit-down long-form capture, you're there with them for half an hour to an hour. So what are you going to do to fill in that time stretch, right? You need more premeditated content, topics, outline, etc. So there's higher lift involved. And that's one of the advantages of short-form content capture at events is you don't need to do all that prep work. You could just run up to someone who doesn't even know they're necessarily going to be on camera. You stick a tiny mic in their face, you ask them a question. 2 minutes later, you have a piece of social content.
A couple best practices with that. Stick to a short question list, maybe 5 questions, and you can ask everyone that question, and then you get a nice compilation of different answers with that question. Sometimes doing the past where you have 20 short form questions and then it's all over the place. It's better to be a shorter list of questions, but make sure they're good and make sure they're not too niche. I think something you want to create short form content that's more general. Yes. Maybe it applies to more of the industry versus like super niche product stuff.
A good way to think about that is this is where you factor in your distribution strategy to the type of content you're producing. Short form content typically is more top of funnel. It's distributed on socials, etc. Right? So you want to cast a slightly wider net. You can have some that's more product specific, more use case specific, but on the general good guiding principle is more wide net. Whereas something longer form, that's a bit more deep dive, you're probably being more intentional with your guest who's on the video.
Totally.
Right. So you could drill deeper into a more technical topic or have it more about a specific customer use case.
And that'll be on your YouTube or your website and
Exactly.
or wherever inside your internal database.
Yeah. You're not necessarily pushing out a 45-minute video into the LinkedIn feed.
But maybe like the 100 customers that are relevant to that will freaking love it. Right.
Yeah. Like Jake and I always say, the most impactful videos we've ever made for EventShark are our portfolio highlights and our customer testimonial videos on our website, where maybe 100 people have ever seen those. But they're high intent buyers, and that's going to be more important and impactful to deal conversion than anything else.
Totally. And we could do a whole episode about what the funnel should look like on different content formats. But we're talking about event content right now.
So real quick, other types of short form content. So one thing, we're starting to see more street interviews in B2B, right? And as you know, as we talked about with the allegory, the tragedy of the commons, right?
It's going to become oversaturated. So you also want to do other types of content.
Yeah. Do you know the story of the tragedy of the commons?
I know the story of the tragedy of the commons. Do you want to tell it to the audience?
I can tell the story to the tragedy of the commons. So imagine a small village. There's a beautiful common area, right, called the commons, where all the shepherds will have their sheep graze. It was open to everyone. Come on, get your sheep on down and feed them so we can get wool and good lamb meat. But what happens over time is when you have unrestricted access to the commons, more people go and try to extract the value. And what happens is the grass dies because there's so many damn sheep trampling over the grass, eating the grass. And now the grass dies, and now there's no more grass. And the commons falls into disrepair. It falls into a state where it can't sustain the farming out there, right? And that's
so you're saying street interviews are that.
Well, I think there's more danger of that when everyone in a space over-indexes on one specific type of content. Of course, right? We saw that happen with Zoom interviews, right? Remote podcasts. We see that happen with badge scan maximizing at large-scale conferences, right? The best marketers, the best creatives out there are, trying to think, hey, what's the next step beyond that? How can we get ahead of that curve?
And you got some ideas for this, right?
We do have some ideas.
If you haven't seen any Ding's content, he loves his challenge type videos, fun games. It's going to test people and make it feel more like a game show versus a street interview. So that's a fun alternative you can do to street interviews.
Yeah. And the other benefit of that too is if you think about human psychology and the nuance of hooks and viewer retention, when you're just asking a street interview and there's one person answering, there's a bit of the question you always have the answer is, why should they care, right? And sometimes it's good because you have an influencer, you have a customer that, all right, this is worthwhile for me to listen to. And that's why it's also good to have a supercut of street interviews, right?
It's fun to see what a lot of people are
multiple
thinking.
people. It's like, all right, here's this one topic. I want to hear takes from different people because different people have different POVs, different answers for that.
It feels less swayed, right?
But now to bring it back to challenges, the reason that challenges perform well and they're stickier videos, people like to stay on them instead of scrolling away, is as you're positing the challenge or the game to whoever you have on camera, the viewer's also playing that game as well, right? They're seeing, okay, if I ask someone to name 5 companies with green logos, the person on camera with me, they're doing the exercise.
I'm trying to do it in my head right now.
And the person that's viewing, it also encourages comments, right? Building up the content community. Oh, I'm thinking about, I got it before they did. I want to flex that. Right. So, and it's more fun, right? It's I think humans, we're just wired. Why is sports so popular? Right? Because we like games, we like competition. It's hardwired into our DNA as humans. Yeah. So, short games, skits are also fun.
Skits are fun. Obviously, you've seen it's kind of a TikTok-y thing, but I think skits are going to find their way into B2B a little bit more. We haven't kind of seen skits.
We've seen a good amount of skits, I think.
Will Aiken does them well.
Will Aiken's got some good skits. I mean, come on, the OG of B2B content, the GOAT all-time.
Corporate bro.
He built his early content career off skits. It was entirely skits, right? And the beauty of skits is that the suspension of disbelief, right? So when you have very crazy 4K cameras and set lighting and audio and all this stuff, you have these actors, right? And there's this expectation, it's got to look like a movie or a television production. When you do skits, it's vertical video, fast cuts and whatnot. You don't need all of that stuff, right? It's a lot of the characters are implied.
We should do some more skits.
We should 100% do
I feel
some
like
more
now that you got me hyped on skits, I think skits. I think a lot of creativity.
Yeah, I mean Max at Unmuted, they do a good job with the skits. B2B Born, everyone's seen those videos. Our boy Morrissey.
Yep.
He's a good skit.
Okay, skits.
And then the final one, short form content, is and this will work for both short and long form, is a sizzle trailer, a recap video, if you will. And this works whether you're attending, you're exhibiting, or you're owning the event. Is you want to hype up and get mileage out of your presence and reinforce that you were there, and especially if you are planning future events where you want to incentivize attendees to come by just documenting the shots of people networking, sharing in beautiful conversations, smiles on their face, toasting with their glasses. You create this image, the promise of a great vibe and a great time. And you incentivize folks to come.
And I'm going to take a quick note on EventShark and why so I do like recap videos. I do think if you're just doing a recap video, it's definitely a miss on content.
Oh, huge.
Opportunity. Don't over-index on the recap video or the sizzle reel. Make it
cool.
cool.
And Jake, I think where you're coming from with this is that before EventShark kind of came in and changed the game, in the past with B2B content, a lot of the capture of, we're going to hire a film crew for this event.
For one video.
You get one video. It's a beautiful recap video, and a lot of them are well shot.
30 hours of footage for like 3 minutes. It's not worth it.
Yeah. So you want to be more intentional, and that's a good litmus test for whoever owns video at the company, right? Whether you're bringing on an external partner or you have an internal video team. The biggest difference maker is, are these people B2B savvy? Do these people have go-to-market experience? Because that's going to be the differentiator of, can you film content that is relevant to customers, that's relevant to sales teams and collateral, versus are you just making a really beautiful recap of what we were doing?
Yeah, there's two things when creating content. It's got to be educational or it's got to be entertaining, in my opinion.
Yeah. Cool. Let's talk about some long-form content types.
So we have sit-down interviews.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we're doing right now.
All right, we all know what those are like.
Yeah.
That kind of goes hand in hand with podcast batching content.
Yep.
Testimonial content.
Huge. And talking head videos, right? There's another.
Yeah, and maybe it's a little different as a talking head.
It's a bit different, and I think part of the talking head videos.
What's a talking head video?
Talking head video is just a head that's talking.
Like usually it's an exec.
Yeah.
Talking about what's going on at the business or what's coming up.
The reason that talking head video capture is important at events and is a pain point that a lot of marketers might be familiar with. Sometimes it's a real pain in the ass trying to get your executives or your CEO to sit in front of a camera, right? These are folks with very busy schedules. These are folks that might not be natural content creators, and you'll face some resistance trying to get them on video. But if they're already there at the event, you know what their schedule looks like.
They're just standing there at the booth.
Yeah.
It's time for you to get them on camera.
That's right.
You have their executive assistant, or if they don't have an executive assistant, book some time on the Calendly. Hey, Mr. Exec, from this time to this time, we're going to be filming some talking head videos. Here are some ideas I have for content.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. What do you think about this? I'm just going to ask you and prompt you these questions. You can get like 4 to 8 social clips from that easily.
And a really good use case for this. So there's 2 other types of events that fall under the own events umbrella, right? One of them is a company all hands or a company offsite.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Right, where it's in a very big internal focus. And the other one is a sales kickoff or a QBR, right, where there's also a strong internal focus. So those are internal focus events. That is one of the best times to get executive video capture because you have your full C-suite up there.
Yeah, and say we're doing our offsite at Exit 5 in September. We should film some content from the team, like talking about editing tactics and stuff like that. We have all the cameras, like let's batch it.
Yep.
So think about doing that.
And outside of executives, right, with Talking Head, you can also, usually whenever your customers, it's more of a testimonial. But let's say you invited some thought leaders in your space to speak at your event. Well, those guys would probably have some downtime as well. Get those folks on
do like a roundtable type conversation that is going to be off to the side.
All right, no spoilers. No
spoilers. Yeah, we're doing.
Session capture is a big one. That's pretty low hanging fruit. If you're going to have someone go through the trouble of making a deck and preparing an outline for a speech,
capture the keynote.
Capture the keynote. Yeah.
Let's capture the keynote.
Yeah,
and that's pretty obvious. Definitely easy. Throw a freaking tripod and either if you only have a shotgun mic, put the shotgun mic, or if you can connect it to the AV team.
Yeah,
that's preferred, but
That's hard.
capture the content.
Yeah.
If you're going to use it, right?
Yeah.
But if you're just going to record it and not use it, then don't use it.
Yeah.
I think that's also a big problem is that people will come in and they want to record everything, but what's the distribution strategy look like? If you're not actually going to use it, let's not waste the time then.
Yeah.
Film it.
Distribution, I mean, word to our boy Ross, distribution should inform every facet of your on-site production. Is you want to be intentional. Hey, we do a lot of content on short-form socials. Okay, maybe don't capture only long-form interviews at the event, right? Or we get very little top-of-funnel traction on our content, but we have a ton of website visits because we have a really good SEO strategy and we run a lot of ads to landing pages on our website. Okay, maybe let's be intentional with making landing page-specific long-form videos at the event. You got to tailor your intent and what kind of content to optimize for based on what your existing marketing strategy.
No one size fits all type of content.
Boom.
But these are my last two ones that I think are my favorites. Behind the scenes type content, as well as documentary style content. I really like these. They're a little bit more higher lift, probably need to come in methodically or maybe hire someone to do this. But that type of content, I think, not really done too much in B2B marketing. And I think someone that is maybe wanting to learn about how you did that or the behind the scenes, I think it's interesting. What would be some examples of some behind the scenes type documentary style content that you really liked?
We've gotten a lot of really good feedback. So this would be an example of an exhibitor or a sponsor at an event creating side content, right? Is when we did the golf interview with...
This is genius. I give Mark Huber his flowers here.
Yeah.
He was sponsoring...
So you're sponsoring Exit 5.
Their B2B marketing conference, first annual one.
In the Mecca, Burlington, Vermont, the Mecca B2B marketing. Mecca. Shout out my boy Dave one time.
He gets a shout out every podcast.
He gets it, man. just when you're a good guy, you get free podcast shout outs. We love Exit 5. We're part of the community. If you're in B2B marketing and you're not in Exit 5, what are you doing?
This podcast was sponsored by Exit 5.
Yeah, we're doing ads. Come on, Dave. Let us do some ad reads. So Mark at User Evidence, they were a sponsor at Drive last year. And Mark, actually, we all went out a day early before the event itself. And we got Dave. We went out, played some golf.
Mark, and he was sponsoring the conference. Instead of doing a booth at the conference, he actually had a booth.
We had a booth,
but it was like not the main focus of it.
Yeah.
He created a podcast interview series at the conference, asking all the speakers to be on the podcast. So we got great distribution from all the thought leaders there. And then he did a side piece of content with Dave Gerhardt to go on the golf course and do like a documentary style behind the scenes type interview series, which was completely different than any type of content we've seen in B2B marketing.
No one in B2B has done that type of long form deep dive because it wasn't even really about user evidence at all. It was about Dave. It was like, let's tell the story of Dave Gerhardt's journey from,
marketing intern to CMO. It was like how to advice for a first time, like wanting to become a CMO. So he created some really cool B2B marketing, but it's still B2B marketing adjacent, which I really like that.
Yeah. And it's like all of those insights and just approaching it from such a human and personal level is you can't do that through a computer screen, right? And all of the insights and nuggets of information you capture from that, those are relevant to the B2B marketers that form the ICP of User Evidence as well.
Yeah, really like that use case for like documentary style.
Yeah, and we also did an actual documentary.
We did a documentary as well of them hosting their first
with Exit 5. The best use case for that is if you're the owner of this event. It's a nice collage of a few of the different themes that we talked about in terms of content. So you can have some talking head segments, right? We've all seen The Office, where the premise is there's a documentary crew filming at an office, right? And that's why you have the scenes of Kevin in the side room giving a monologue talking head to the camera. You see the shots of some BS happens in the office. Dwight's on some bullshit, and then the camera pans over to Pam at the reception desk with the long zoom in, right? So it's that style. It feels more intimate, and it feels like the viewer that you're there. You were at the event. It's a combination of some scenic, cinematic shots, B-roll, but also some talking, some intimate moments, right? And it transports the viewer on site with you.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to highlight one more thing that wasn't initially on our list, but I think vlog type content falls into the documentary stuff.
Yes, 100%.
But
and our boy Vin,
he's
the goat at it.
He's the goat at it.
Yeah.
I'm actually
Jake's the goat at it.
We got a lead from my blog, from Instagram off one of my life day in the lives.
Let's go.
Crazy.
Let's go. Yeah, and then one good guiding principle to think about this from a production value standpoint. The earlier in the buyer journey, the less it needs to be polished. The deeper funnel it is, you're probably better served for something that's a bit more premium, especially if you're a more premium product or you charge a good amount for
if I'm buying this $200K software,
and
it has these like janky videos that
it's on a webcam, like it kind of cheapens the brand.
I'd say so too. I think there's time and place for all types of content, but
so we just talked about what content to shoot at events. Let's really quickly talk about what should you not shoot at events.
Commercial shoots.
Yeah,
that's what you're going with.
Yeah,
here.
Big commercial shoots.
Keep it run and gun. I think there's a lot of chaos at events. Keep it simple.
Yeah,
keep it simple.
And the other thing too is usually with these full set, full crew style shoots, you're gonna have including your actors and all the roles involved, right? That's a 5 to 10 person operation.
Too expensive.
One, it's too expensive. Two, it's going to distract you from also maximizing the in-person connection at your event. And the reason that we at EventShark have dialed down into the specific content pieces that we just talked about is everything that we had covered up until now is not just the content capture. There's also an element of human interaction. There's an element of when we do a street interview, it's a good segue to have a conversation with someone that you might not know. If it's someone that you've scheduled for a longer sit down, it's an opportunity to build and strengthen that relationship with something more deep. If you're having actors that aren't buyers or in your ecosystem at all, they're playing some characters, and you got all your lighting and your camera guys.
And this is maybe some kind of B2B marketing stunt you're doing. Maybe like I'll give like ClickUp, for example. They did their flash mob.
Yeah,
that was well executed. I think if you're thinking really outside the box like that, that works. But don't try to do some ad.
Yeah, typically what we've found is if you have more than 5 people on the production side at an event, it's probably overkill for B2B. Realistically, you never really need to go over 5 people in a crew. But for a real commercial, you might have 10 folks on site. And there's the whole aspect of time management, space management. Where are you going to do that at a trade show? You're gonna do it at your booth? Probably not. So don't even think about it. There's zero benefit to doing them at events. You're better served doing them in a controlled environment, in a studio, on a set.
I want to highlight one really quick thing that just a customer win that we had doing some content at an event. We were doing some ABM. We kind of talked about at the very beginning of the podcast that some targeted outreach, street interviews. This client said they got 10x ROI on doing this because you do a bunch of street interviews with target accounts in pipeline, get one of them to close from a street interview, and they got one of them to close from the street interview. And so that was just a really cool use case of being like, it actually does work. And we've even seen it with our own street interviews. Like, if there's ever someone that we want to go out and talk to, hey, my name's Ding, I'm the sales rapper, like blah, blah, blah. Hey, I'm Ding, I'm the sales rapper. You want to do a street interview with me? Way easier opener if it's someone you don't know.
Yep.
But that's if you're running on the gun. Maybe we want to talk about the pre-planning.
Yes.
We've kind of alluded to this already, how important pre-planning is to any event shoot.
So there's 2 pieces. When you talk about pre-production for B2B event capture, there's 2 pieces, right? One is the strategy and planning, which will involve the content. And then the second is the logistics preparation, which will deal with the shoot and the on-site logistics. To think about strategy and planning, the most important thing is, we talked about this earlier, is all of this is informed by your distribution strategy. So the things to think about is, what are your content goals, right? What do you want the capture and the content you produce out of this event? What do you want it to accomplish? Is it social media performance? Is it marketing collateral for your sales teams to use? Is it going to inform other content creation inside the company? Like, say, maybe from a product marketing use case, good chance to get some feedback about the product as well. Also think about formats. Are we doing short form, long form, street interviews? If we're going to do a game or a challenge, like a big one I like to do is spin the wheel, right? Okay, cool. Then we know we gotta think about the game parameters as well. And then finally, deliverables. In terms of deliverables, what output you're actually going to get from the event, right? And having that metric there beforehand, so you can hold yourself accountable. You can hold your vendor partner accountable after the fact.
Yeah, and here's some example deliverables that we might do at a maybe user conference. Capture the keynote speeches, capture all the like all the talks, capture maybe 3 testimonials, maybe do some long form interviews, sit down interviews with the exec teams, and then maybe get a handful, 5 to 10 short form street interviews. That's an example of like what you could potentially get at a user conference, and that's even potentially on the low side. That's being
conservative.
Yeah. If you have a team that knows what they're doing going into it with a pre-planning and scripting ahead of time and knowing what you're shooting, you could freaking crush it. But I think it's always crawl, walk, run.
Yes.
If you're first time shooting an event, don't go crazy. Let's just try 5 street interviews. Let's start small. Yeah. Let's try one interview.
Yeah. Or hire some experts.
Or hire experts to help you do it all.
So the second piece of setting yourself up for success in pre-production is identifying and calling out your on-camera talent, right? These are folks that are internal or external that will be good subject matter experts or have something valuable to add or something to say, a point of view. And then finally, the last piece is it's always good to have a shot list. The more premeditated you can be pre-event, the more chances that you're going to walk out of the event with exactly what your goals are.
Because if a client gives us a shot list, or we'll create a shot list, we're like, check mark, make sure we get that. I think sometimes we miss, not that I've learned my lesson, like let's make sure we get, for the recap video, I want some detailed shots too, not just wide crowd shots.
Yep.
Give me some detailed shots of these different logo displays or
or a handshake,
whatever it is.
Like a group photo moment, people toasting cheers and whatnot,
branded logo, branded swag and stuff.
Yeah, people interacting with the product demo, say on an iPad or something.
Yeah, I think the people in action doing stuff.
Yep.
So
cool. And then the second piece is prepping logistics. So this one's really important. This is where most companies we've seen drop the ball. We were talking about interview targets, who we want to talk to.
Not that most people drop the ball, but if they are to drop the ball,
this is where they're dropping.
Not everyone's dropping the ball.
Yeah.
People are doing great.
For interviews, right, you want to pick out the people, and then you want to pick out the topics and themes. So prep your questions, prep your talk tracks, and make sure you're time blocking and scheduling.
I'll give an example. One of our clients reached out. I'm going to the conference on their behalf, because we know the brand really well. They reach out to all the speakers and their target accounts and partners that I need to talk to, and they give them a heads up. Hey, would you want to do a quick street interview? And then I have that person on my list, and I got to go hunt them down. Or if you have someone on the team that is maybe a customer marketer and knows the customers, they can kind of do those warm intros for you.
The next thing is many scripts, storyboards, or production guides. So those are typically, internally, we make those for every client shoot. It keeps us really buttoned up in terms of where to be, when to film certain things, and it's a good scheduling type of tool.
So the example would be like 8 to 9 is the check-in and breakfast, and then 9 is the keynote start. We're filming keynote from
first
9 to 11.
Keynote here, and this is especially important. Let's say if you have a multi-room type of setup, you have 2 ongoing sessions at the same time. Right, just knowing where, okay, we're gonna have camera A here, camera B here, camera C, camera D over there, and then making sure that audio and everything is accounted for beforehand. Right. Oh, here's lunch break. Okay, we're gonna do B-roll now. We're gonna do some street interviews. Afternoon block is more free roundtable style discussions. We'll pull some of our customers during those times, and schedule the testimonial capture then.
And then we got our favorite part of the day, happy
hour,
and then that's where people are loose. And then you can get them on some fun street interviews where everyone's tired of hearing value-based content all day, so they want to get on camera now. It's their turn to be the star.
The next thing, this is more on the post-production side. We also edit for our clients, right? And a big thing for us to get the fastest turnaround time and the most cohesive, brand-friendly or on-brand content is you want to get your brand kit ready, right? You want to get your logos, the different formats of your logos, some with transparent backgrounds, etc. Color hexes, codes, the different fonts that your brand is using, as well as different design assets as part of that brand toolkit, will allow vendors like us to create really on-brand content that looks like it's a good representation of your company.
And you get that all ahead of time, right?
Yep.
If we know we're shooting on Thursday, or we know we're shooting on Wednesday, and we want to show some content from that right away, you're uploading footage that night to us, or if we shot it, we're sending it off to editing. They've already had all the brand kit. They know the style. They have reference videos of what it's supposed to look like. We've never edited before. And then we're able to give you that video next day or by Friday. You have at least some content to push. And that's one thing that when you're hiring outsourcing editing, if you don't have it in-house and the editor isn't synced, because that's one thing. All we've been talking about is shooting and planning.
Yeah.
The editing is such an underrated piece of this whole puzzle, because you can shoot all you want, but if you're not editing it, where's it going? So being dialed with your editor on the process.
Set them up for success, right? So you get better quality and you get faster turnarounds.
If you want to post by Friday or by afternoon Thursday and you just want to do a street interview, editing team, if they know ahead of time that they can do that, it's not that hard to do a couple short form videos in that morning if you have all the assets and all ready to go.
Yep. Last two pieces, we'll go through these pretty quick. The on-site logistics piece. Get a map of the venue, right? Where are we doing the event? Are there strategic rooms that here's where the big sessions are happening? Here's where roundtables are happening. Here's what the happy hour venue looks like. Do you have any side rooms that are maybe a bit quieter? We
were just doing this, and the client had a podcast studio room, and we're like, perfect to shoot all our content in.
Yep. And then we talked about this earlier, but what's the schedule and the run of show, right? So we'd know on this hour or maybe 10 minutes before this thing, we can get set up in place to capture certain things.
Totally.
Cool. And then Jake, you already mentioned this, but any noteworthy attendees or people that have registered, so we could be more intentional, say, when we're tapping people on the shoulder, hey, want to get in content with us, we could be more strategic.
Yeah. Maybe that one account that is on the verge of signing and the key decision maker is there. Let's go make sure we try and get some content with them.
Yep. Cool. And then really quickly, talking about on-camera talent, which is a catch-all phrase of who do we want to actually film while we're on site, right? So there's internal and external. And on the internal side, there's really three main categories. One is your interviewer. And this is going to be really important. Oftentimes, it's someone on the marketing or sales side, customer-facing, right? They're media trained, have a rudimentary comfort or familiarity with being on camera, can prompt people, dive deeper, set up good hooks. And it's a bonus points if these folks are already content creators. They have a personal brand on LinkedIn, let's say. So strategically, they're good.
If you have someone at your company, that's perfect person to send to your conference to be your little interviewer or host.
Yeah.
Or worst case, the sales reps can do it because, hey, they're on sales calls all day. They know how to
talk to customers.
They can ask some questions on camera.
Yeah, and so sales and leadership, the salespeople, because they're very customer facing, they'll have the right language. And then leadership, especially for internal style events, all hands, kickoffs, QBRs, etc.
Yeah, I mean, if
you can get your leadership in front of the camera, that's that's a big battle alone, right? So
that's so hard to sell, but it's a good time to do it.
Yeah, and then just other employees. So B-roll capture, they're doing stuff, or if you want to get skits, and you don't want to deal with actors and whatnot. I guess some of your employees, they know the space.
Yeah, they want to do some skits.
Yeah, external on-camera talent. So we have our VIP guests and our customers, which that's where you're getting the testimonial content. You're talking through some success stories and use cases of the product. Speakers and panelists, that's where you get your thought leaders, your influencers, and there's a strategic distribution play there, right? So
I think that's the underrated part, is that you can tap into that distribution.
Huge. You're already paying them so much money to go there and speak. You might as well get them on camera. Prospects are really good as well, because this is that account-based marketing opportunity. You can strengthen the relationship. You can ask them certain questions, do more discovery, find out more about that deal process. And also, it gives you a really good organic follow-up opportunity. Hey, I'm reaching out because our clips are finished from the podcast and we want you to have this, is a very different touch point than, hey, just checking in. How's your deal going? We're still ready to sign by in a month?
Yeah. Oh, but no, we had this awesome interview for you.
Yeah.
That makes you look smart.
Partners are also really good when you have your ecosystem there. A lot of times partners will be co-sponsors at your event, right? And if you create collaborative content, increases your shared content footprint. Synergy.
Also with the partners too, is that you guys can split content costs.
Yes.
So, hey, our budget's a little thin because we are sponsoring thousands of drinks.
Yeah.
We still want to get some content. Do you guys want to split the sizzle reel with us and get some street interviews?
Yep.
seen that work very well.
Yep. And then general attendees. So lower stakes, they might not be directly part of any existing opportunity or target account, but they might still be in a relevant industry or relevant role. Get them on the street interviews. Get them in your challenge videos. In terms of production roles, this can be a combination of people that's internal or people from your vendor or partner for on-site capture. There's a good division of responsibility when it comes to capturing content and succeeding at that at in-person events. And there's a couple of things that you need to do to make that a reality. In terms of production roles for B2B event content, we have 4 roles, and I'll call them what I like to call the filmer, the person that's actually running
we know who they are.
Side,
we know who they are.
Right? We know who they are. And then you have the operations person, someone that's organized and that's going to keep everything
making
in check.
things happen on
right.
time.
Right.
Getting all the people around because other people, they're busy.
Yep, exactly. And this could include stuff like making sure people are following the schedule, the logistics of the venue. Hey, we have this bar until this time. We have this room until this time. We need to clear out here. Oh, this room is open up for the rest of the day. We could do talking head over here.
Executive assistant, when you're working with the execs, is great with that.
Yes.
They know, and they'll force the execs to go over there at the right time.
A lot of it's herding cats, right? That's the term.
It's herding cats.
It's herding cats.
These people are
we call it talent wrangling.
Wrangling.
Cowboys.
So we got filmer, we got organizer, we got the interviewer, coach. This is underrated.
Super underrated.
Underrated role is that interviewer also you want to kind of. Was this supposed to be coach off camera? Oh, that's the director.
Yeah. So there's 2 pieces, right? So the interviewer, you can either be on or off camera. One is you're prompting answers from your on camera talent. You're teeing them up to give really good, relevant talk tracks, but also you're guiding them. Hey, the way you said that was a bit unclear. Let's restate it this way. Oh, start your hook with these 5 words for maximal impact. Because most people in B2B, they don't have extensive on-camera experience. They weren't necessarily media trained. So the more coaching and guidance you can give them on site, the better the output and performance that they can give to the camera.
Yeah, I think it's a really underrated thing is to prompt the person in the right way and just being curious, right? That's why a lot of open-ended questions are good, and then getting second-level questions on top of those. Really get into the weeds. If it's like a longer form, obviously if it's short form, we want it punchy, we want it quick. And then there's the director, obviously, who just makes sure that the execution, the vision. This might be someone more senior that has the vision. They're the ones that like had the whole idea for the product, and making sure it is the right idea. It's like, why are we filming this in the bathroom? We need to be filming this in a good good backdrop. This is a bad use case, but I bet.
You know, it was funny. We over the weekend we did
No, you guys filmed in the bathroom?
Filmed in the bathroom.
Where's the director? They should have been stopping you.
No. I was the director. and I was saying, because, we want to make a scroll-stopping little short street interview. They're like, oh, let's just do it here. I'm like, why don't we do this where you have the guy coming out of the bathroom stall and you're interviewing him? Anyways.
Definitely scroll stopping.
Yeah. So what is the workflow on site of a production? So there's 4 main pieces, right? You have your setup, your filming, any relevant location changes if you need to move, capture sites around, and then finally tear down.
Yeah, a lot of times we'll have cameras on tripods, right? We got to move those tripods around. It's also good to have a camera if you're shooting B-roll on gimbal, so we can kind of move around, and that gives you a little bit more flexibility with the gimbal. Yeah. So if it's a keynote, we got to just stand a tripod there. But I even tried doing street interviews with a tripod. And it was actually kind of nice because it kind of makes it so you don't have to hold a camera all day. You can actually focus on more directing and prompting.
Post-event process is the last important.
We kind of alluded to with working with an editor, making sure you're going to post-production. Obviously, it's really important having deadlines with your vendor or your team on when you want stuff posted. I think that the concept of it's such a great opportunity to catch your evergreen content. So understand what the evergreen content is that you can work on later, and then what's also more of the time-sensitive stuff. Are we doing content for a launch? Are we doing content for a recap video? Like, this should all be done in the next week. And then that's really helpful as who's ever owning this project to make sure they're creating timestamps for the editor so they know what to work on. Like, hey, file 279 is going to be our announcement video. Can we edit that first so we can post that on Friday? So it's really going through the footage and just knowing what we shot or marking it.
Yeah.
Marking.
Prioritizing and organizing footage is really important. So post-event, right? Post-production. Step one, file management. Jake, you kind of talked about that a little bit. It's helpful to organize by the source, what camera it's coming from, what room it was in, what it's capturing, the type. Here's our short form capture, street interview capture. Segment those out in a folder, easy to find. Here's our 3 camera angles for this interview. Move that by itself, right? So everything's easy and you're not searching for files for 2 hours, 2 months after the fact.
So have someone go through and label the footage, especially when it comes to street interviews. That's gonna be really helpful to label like what it is. So anyone that was on site that's able to do it, or if you have an editor that's super in tune on what the project is, they can go in. A lot of times we'll just upload footage to Dropbox, have editor go in, kind of organize it, or we'll organize it and then mark what we want to edit first and create that process. And usually at least working with us, it's like a delivery schedule. It would be like 2 to 3 videos per week that you're going to be getting on a rolling basis. Yep. You hate to have it when you shot 20 videos and then you're all getting them in 30 days and 20 videos all at once. You want that rolling delivery so you can start putting content on the board and putting content out there. That kind of covers post-production. Obviously that ties into distribution. Make sure you're posting the content and we have a whole podcast on
we have a whole podcast on editing and distribution. But that's pretty much it. I think in summary, everyone knows that content's important right now. Everyone knows that events are important in B2B. And if you want to get your maximum value out of both of them, then you should combine it. And you should create content at B2B events. And you got to be really thoughtful and well prepared going into these events. And
well said.
You're going to see success.
Yeah. So this is episode 14 of the EventShark Podcast. I know this is a little bit different than a typical episode. Me and Ding are trying to do more deep down breakdowns here and there. We did the AI walkthrough video a few weeks ago. We definitely want to mix it up with not just having guests, but also me and Ding kind of talking about things that we think are relevant and important. And obviously, we don't create enough content on event content, which is our entire offer.
Yeah.
So we were just we need to do a breakdown of how we are thinking about event content. So if you found this episode helpful, definitely let us know if you made it this far. You probably did. So thank you for tuning in this far. And if you have any feedback or content or questions or suggestions on stuff we should do in future breakdowns, let us know.
Yeah. I got an album dropping soon. The Alarm, featuring my buddy MC Clockwork and the Sales Rapper. We got an album on the way.
Been too long.
It's been too long. We've been working on it for almost 2 years now, but it's coming. And then also EventShark. Something's cooking. I won't tell you more for now, but something's cooking.
We got something cooking.
Yep.
So lots of content coming up. We're very passionate about putting out our own content, hence the podcast. So we still want to really take time about and putting out.
Yeah. So as always, like, comment, subscribe.
All right. We'll see you next episode. Peace out.